Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a Victoria teen is arrested in connection with a deadly shooting. Plus, Victoria County political leaders weigh in on the political chess match playing out over Texas congressional maps. And the anniversary of one of the costliest storms in U.S. history, how Hurricane Harvey still shapes Texas today.
We're going to be talking about the chance that tropical showers are going to roll back up into our area, and then we're going to talk about fall, hoping that maybe it'll be fall sometime soon. All that coming up in a moment.
FBI and Border Patrol team up for a massive enforcement action, the weekend operation that swept 4 counties. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shauna Curry. A Victoria teen has been arrested in connection to a homicide. Around 5:15 Sunday evening, Victoria police were called to a disturbance on Sycamore Street. When they arrived, they found 19-year-old Gabriel Gonzalez with a gunshot wound. They tried to save him, but he did not survive. 17-year-old Jonathan Partita has been arrested in connection with the case. Police have not said what led to the disturbance. The investigation is still ongoing. Texas lawmakers have passed new congressional maps. Republicans hoping to add more seats, but not without Democrats fighting to stop the vote. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting joins us with some local political leaders, he talked with them, and he joins us now to share their take. Trenton.
Yes, Shauna, I spoke with the Victoria County party chairs for both parties, as well as a local political expert on this redistricting saga, and what the next steps could be for both parties. Texas Democrats dominated headlines over the past few weeks, leaving the state to avoid a vote on a new congressional map and drawing the ire of Republicans who feel the lawmakers shirked their responsibilities.
Somebody's paying you to do a job. Why not do it, right? Even under protest. I protest, but don't leave the state. Victoria County Republican Party Chair Bill Posey says it was a strong political move by Republicans, but responses from states like California could counteract Republican gains in Texas. I believe Gavin Newsom's going to have an effort to possibly redistrict there too. They only have 10 seats in the Republican Party in California. Will they be able to offset that? I don't know. On the other side of the aisle, County Democratic Party Chair Jewel Buchanan says Democrats' goal was to spark national attention to Republican redistricting efforts.
They didn't go into it thinking that they would change the outcome. They did it to raise awareness. So more and more people would go, well, what's going on?
Buchanan says the Democratic Party may have forward momentum.
What we're going to do is we're going to get out in all of those new districts that are created as Democrats and talk to the voters. What is it that you want from a candidate?
Political expert and professor Woodrow Wilson Wagner says both Republican redistricting and the Democrats' departure may not have accomplished what they each hoped.
I think the result of this could not play in the Republicans' favor, that it energizes the Democratic Party. As far as people protesting and leaving the state, I think it makes good headlines, but it doesn't really move the needle in changing the outcome.
His main concern is that this process of redistricting, normally done after the census every decade, becomes a competition of power between parties.
I wonder if it's a domino effect that never ends, and then it becomes almost a game. And I don't think it's a good idea to start making democracy a game like that.
State may have to deal with some legal action as a result of this redistricting. Organizations like the National Redistricting Foundation are pushing forward with a case, submitting a 67-page complaint calling this redistricting unconstitutional. For now, though, Governor Greg Abbott plans to move quickly on signing these districts into law. Shauna, back to you.
Thank you, Trenton. DeWitt County will go under a burn ban at 6 o'clock tonight. The burn ban will be in place for 90 days, but can be lifted early or extended depending on conditions. The penalty for violating the burn ban is a fine up to $500 plus restitution for fire calls. And let's go to Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez to see if we have more rain in the forecast. Mac, from what I understand, we have a pretty good chance the rest of the week.
Well, we're optimistic that the rain showers will come back. What you might have noticed over the weekend is that we got really hot and dry because everything got pushed out to the Gulf. Well, now that's going to sort of stroll back up into the region. So tomorrow you'll see a lot more cloud cover, and we do have a chance of getting some isolated showers coming up from the south right about now. After that, we'll be talking about the burn ban. We'll be talking about fall weather, and we'll talk about the tropics. Yeah, we got lots to talk about. So we'll do that coming up in a few minutes. Stay tuned. We'll toss it back to Shauna.
Today marks 8 years since Hurricane Harvey slammed into the Texas coast near Rockport. Harvey brought devastating winds, record-breaking rainfall, and catastrophic flooding. At its peak, some spots saw more than 60 inches of rain. The storm caused around $125 billion in damage, displaced tens of thousands of people, and took more than 100 lives. To this day, Harvey stands as one of the costliest and most destructive storms in U.S. history. And here's our viewer poll this evening. How did Hurricane Harvey impact you and your family in the Crossroads? Did you have major home damage or flooding, minor damage, lose power but no damage, or were you not directly impacted? We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to let us know. And 58% said they had minor damage, which is pretty unbelievable considering how strong of a hurricane it was and how much damage it did in our area. So continue voting, and we'll have another look at these numbers coming up on 25 News Now at 6. A multi-agency effort rounds up nearly 80 immigrants in Texas who are here illegally, who have a criminal history. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley joins us with more. Ray?
Yes, Shauna. U.S. Attorney Nicholas Ganji announced Operation Pickoff, an immigration and violent crime crackdown targeting criminals in the Rio Grande Valley. So far, 65 people have been arrested, all allegedly in the country illegally after being previously removed. They face a range of charges, including drug offenses, human smuggling, fraud, burglary, and assault. If convicted, many could spend up to 20 years in federal prison. The operation started last Friday, August 22nd, and ran through the weekend across Cameron, Willacy, Hidalgo, and Starr counties. Ganji says the South District of Texas won't stop until all 43 counties are covered, warning that anyone committing a crime can expect a visit from federal authorities. He says this is what Operation Take Back America is all about. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Texas remains one of the busiest in the nation. Victoria County is included in this representation. Assisting U.S. attorneys from all Victoria divisions work directly with our law enforcement partners on the federal, state, and local levels to prosecute the suspected offenders of these and other federal crimes. Shauna?
We turn now to the latest on what President Trump is calling a crime emergency in Democratic-run cities. The president has deployed the National Guard to Washington, D.C., and says he might do the same in places like Chicago, Baltimore, and New York. This afternoon, local leaders in Illinois speaking out against the administration. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
President Trump and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker going head-to-head as the president considers deploying National Guard troops to Chicago.
Chicago, Illinois is a disaster. I have property there. It's a disaster. What's going on in Chicago?
Trump suggesting there's a crime emergency in the city, but local leaders say homicides, shootings, and robberies are all down since last year.
There is no cause for this. There is no emergency. There is no law in the books that allows him to put federalized troops on the streets of the city of Chicago.
In a post on X, Governor Pritzker walking along the city's lakefront this morning, refuting Trump's claims.
We got a lot of people running, having a great time. I don't know who in Washington thinks that Chicago is some sort of hellhole, but you may need to look inward.
Trump has already sent 2,200 National Guard members to the nation's capital, where police say violent crime is actually at a 30-year low, down 26% from last year. Some of the troops now armed with service-issued pistols or M4 rifles. Trump also signed executive orders today aimed at ending the practice of cashless bail and prosecuting those who are caught burning the American flag. In 1989, the Supreme Court ruled that flag burning is protected by the First Amendment. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
A Maryland man who was wrongfully deported earlier this year is back in U.S. custody. Kilmar Abrego Garcia turned himself into an ICE facility in Baltimore today after being released from a Tennessee jail. He had spent months in a Salvadoran prison following his illegal deportation in March. Garcia now faces federal human smuggling charges, and the administration is threatening to deport him again. His lawyers say this is retaliation and have filed a new lawsuit. For now, a federal judge has ordered him to stay in the U.S. while the case is reviewed. The U.S. Coast Guard announces its largest drug bust ever. Crews offloaded more than 76,000 pounds of narcotics from the cutter Hamilton in Port Everglades, Florida today, a haul worth nearly $500 million. The drugs were seized during a 2-month operation across the Pacific and Caribbean and are mostly tied to Venezuelan cartels. Officials say the bust not only keeps dangerous drugs off American streets, but also cuts into the finances of foreign terrorist organizations. Americans are bracing for potential problems with incoming international shipments after the Trump administration ended a long-standing tax exemption. Some postal services around the world now say they are suspending certain deliveries to the U.S. ABC's Melissa Adon has the details.
Today, President Trump meeting with South Korea's president.
I have a lot of people in business that I deal with that are from South Korea.
There could be new tariff troubles for some popular products from South Korea, India, and Europe. Dozens of government and privately run international postal services are pausing shipments now that low-value packages will soon no longer be exempt from import taxes. Last month, President Trump signed an executive order doing away with the de minimis exemption, which allowed packages worth less than $800 to come into the U.S. duty-free. Now, mail carriers abroad pausing some or all U.S.-bound packages.
I think it is important to underline that all our members who have even announced the actual suspension of the traffic, it is close to 20 members so far, and more may come in the next days. They all talk about temporary suspensions.
According to data from U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, a total of 1.36 billion packages were shipped in 2024 under this exemption. The Trump administration claims the exemption hurt U.S. manufacturers, created a loophole for low-quality products to come into the U.S., and even let narcotics slip in. But without the exemption, prices from low-cost giants like Shein and Temu are expected to go up. DHL's local German service is suspending operations.
Unless we have clarity in these questions, we will have to suspend the shipment of goods via the postal networks from Germany into the U.S.
The exemption is set to expire on Friday. Major shipping companies like UPS, FedEx say their services will not be interrupted. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. Health officials confirm a parasite case with ties to livestock in a human. Plus, how artificial intelligence is helping diabetes patients reduce their medications. A rare case of New World screwworm has been confirmed in a human. It came from a patient in Maryland who recently traveled to El Salvador, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. No information has been released about the patient's condition. The parasite, which was basically eliminated from the U.S. roughly half a century ago, is a larval version of a fly that nests in warm-blooded animals and slowly eats them alive. Officials say there is no significant threat to the general U.S. population, but it can pose potential problems for some animals and foods. If you're worried about dementia, the Mediterranean diet might help. A new study shows it can lower the risk, especially for people with the APOE4 gene, which is a major risk factor for Alzheimer's. The diet focuses on fish, veggies, fruits, nuts, whole grains, and olive oil, while limiting red meat and alcohol. Researchers tracked more than 5,700 people for 3 decades and found those with 2 APOE4 genes cut their chances of developing dementia by over 35% when sticking to the Mediterranean diet. More than 38 million Americans live with type 2 diabetes, and according to the CDC, that number is expected to continue growing. When it comes to treatments, one size does not fit all, but a recent study suggests a new tool could help patients in real time. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither takes a look at how artificial intelligence may be the future of type 2 diabetes care.
When it comes to type 2 diabetes, full management of the disease can be a struggle.
It's very important to get the blood sugar under control to reduce the patient's risk of developing long-term complications.
Dr. Kevin Pantalone with Cleveland Clinic says many of his patients want to know how they can get off of the medications used to help them manage blood sugar. That's why he and a team of researchers are studying how artificial intelligence may be able to help. Through an app from Twin Health on a patient's smartphone, he says the technology uses a person's data from biosensors, including their physical activity and continuous glucose monitor, and is able to learn a patient's predicted glucose responses to various meals, then provides personalized recommendations.
In real time, it will tell the patients based on their predicted response what they should consume for the meal, how many grams of carbohydrate, as well as the order in which the foods are consumed.
After 12 months of research, Pantalone says 71% of patients who took part in the study were able to get an average blood glucose level, known as A1C, of 6.5% without any glucose-lowering medications, except metformin, a common and relatively low-cost diabetes drug. That compared to the less than 3% of the group of participants who tried to achieve the same results with only standard diabetes care from their doctor in that time.
When you give patients the tools and the technology to succeed, patients can do very well.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Obviously, very good information there. I was watching it. 94 degrees right about now on the warm side. No showers around here today. Managed to get up to 95. That was our high, and that's the average high for this time of year. I've been doing a little research here, and September the 10th, right? September the 10th is a good day for us to get out of the 90s. How about that? We'll be talking about all that coming up in just a moment. Well, we had wall-to-wall sunshine today, but we do have some rain in South Texas, but all south of Corpus Christi. As you can see right about now, we've got a lot of tropical moisture down here. That is moving onshore, and the valley is getting some rain. Of course, this is all good. They need it, especially in August. To get a little bit of rain this late in the season is a good thing. So they're getting most of it down south. What happened to us is pressures were high enough to squeeze out all of the moisture, and it went out into the Gulf. Well, now the sea breeze is blowing that back up into our region, and so tomorrow I think you'll see a lot more cloud cover and, you know, some widely scattered afternoon showers. Got to show you this, though. This is pretty exciting. This little stationary front, and it's stationary. That means it's not coming down, but it's in North Texas. It's actually 71 degrees in Amarillo right now, and north of this, it's a little bit fall-like. In fact, let me put it this way. They went to Starbucks and got their pumpkin latte today because the temperatures in all these states, all the way down even to Louisiana and Alabama and Mississippi, they're down into the mid 70s as high temperatures. Overnight lows getting down into the 50s. And remember, I mean, last week they were in the 90s, so they're pretty excited about that. You can see how a big, deep trough is bringing in that cool air to the eastern side of the country. The big dome of pressure that was out on the western states that brought the heat wave, well, that has actually gone away, and so things have settled down to more normal temperatures. Now here's Corpus Christi. You can see the shower activity. Well, let's see, from Laredo all the way down to Falfurrias and down into the valley. We're just hoping that this stuff starts rolling up into our area, and look at that. It's not that far off the coast, right about there. And there we are. So with a little luck, we'll see a little bit more rain rolling around here tomorrow afternoon, certainly than today. This is also good. This is the drought monitor. It comes out once a week, and so this will show you how we're doing. Victoria, technically, according to this map, is not in a drought, okay, because it's got no color in it. The drought in Texas continues in the hill country, Bexar County all the way west. But that is, you know, shall we say, because I talked about it because they started a burn ban in DeWitt County today, and that's something we've got to watch very importantly. So here's the tropical stuff that should be drifting back ashore. Here's the old frontal system. We go out to sea. Let's see what's going on. Aaron is a long memory, and Tropical Storm Fernand is out in the middle of Atlantic. No major problems. September 10th is also an important date. That is the peak of the tropical storm season. After that, we should be decreasing it, but, you know, any one storm could be a problem. So let's take a look at your forecast. It's fairly simple. We just included a little bit of rain chance as we get into the balance of this week. Certainly a little bit better than nothing, all right? So some isolated showers in the afternoon, high of 92 in Port Lavaca. The afternoon high 92 in Cuero with a couple of afternoon showers as well. And for tomorrow, we're going to call it 40% for both Tuesday and Wednesday, then decreasing and pretty hot and steamy Thursday, Friday, and probably Saturday. But as we get to the weekend, we continue with a garden variety chance of a little sprinkle or two. But don't give up, folks. September's not that far away, and that should make a big change in this summer weather. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. I'd love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. Shauna, back to you.
All right, thank you, Mac. Well, coming up next, corn farmers face a potentially historic harvest season. The factors that could determine success or disappointment. Stocks took a tumble today. The Dow in the red by 349 points. The S&P 500 slid 28 points and the Nasdaq down 47 points. The price of oil is up $1.13 to $64.78 per barrel. It could be a record harvest year for corn farmers, all thanks to this summer's good weather. Website Pro Farmers just finished its yearly 7-state crop tour and projects corn at a record 182.7 bushels per acre. That would come in a little shy of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's prediction of 188.8 bushels. It's still yet to be seen if areas that had overly hot conditions and plant disease will significantly affect the final corn yield. The rest of the weather here in August could be the determining factor. The U.S. is the world's largest producer and exporter of corn. The company behind Dr. Pepper, 7-Up, and Keurig Coffee is set to split into a soft drinks company and a coffee company. Keurig Dr. Pepper will acquire JDE Peet's, whose brands include Dewey Egberts, Kenco, and Peet's Coffee. It's an $18 billion deal. Once the transaction is complete, two businesses will be created, Beverage Company and Global Coffee Company. The statement on the deal notes that Global Coffee Company would become the world's largest coffee company, distributing in more than 100 countries. It's expected to generate annual sales of around $16 billion. Many American households have felt uncertain about the economy for the last several months. During tougher economic times, it's important to be prepared for any potential downturns. Ivan Rodriguez explains how people can set themselves up for success financially, even as inflation keeps making it difficult.
Experts project prices in the U.S. will continue to rise because of tariffs. For some households, small increases over time are easier to handle, but for others with little wiggle room in their budgets, that slow burn could resemble a slow bleed.
Many Americans continue to feel down about the economy, and that's largely because of affordability concerns.
Sarah Foster with Bankrate says nearly 1 in 4 Americans report having no emergency savings, according to their latest report. Despite households facing higher prices, she says it's important to still have a savings plan.
You're really going to need to make sure that you have at least some money set aside to help you pay for any kind of income disruption.
Some keys to getting started include creating a budget you check regularly and cutting back on expenses. Also, instead of a 6-month savings goal, focus on a shorter-term objective.
Saving your first $5, then your first $10, then maybe eventually working up to saving a month's worth of expenses.
About 46% of U.S. adults have enough emergency savings to cover 3 months of expenses. More than 1 in 3 Americans needed to use their emergency savings in the past year, with a majority using it for essentials from monthly bills to emergency expenses, according to Bankrate. Foster says the two things that matter the most when talking about emergency funds include the habit of building wealth for yourself and taking advantage of compound interest.
Thinking about yourself as your own best advocate, that really is kind of the bottom line here.
In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Southwest Airlines is changing its policy for plus-size passengers. Starting January 27th, anyone who needs extra space will have to buy a second ticket, and this time it may not be refundable. Right now, Southwest either refunds the extra ticket or offers a free additional seat at the airport, a policy that's been popular with many travelers. Under the new rules, refunds will only be given if the flight takes off with an open seat and both tickets are in the same fare class. It is the latest in a string of changes for Southwest, which has also dropped open seating and added bag fees. What happens when a dad's daily drawings go viral? Still to come, how lunch bags change one dad's entire life.
Tonight, armed National Guard members on the streets of D.C. President Trump signaling what cities may be next. Plus, dangerous wildfires forcing evacuation. World News Tonight with David Muir is the most watched newscast in America.
A New York dad is going viral as the snack bag dad. For the past 4 years, he's been turning his 7-year-old daughter's lunch bags into works of art, from Garfield to Mickey Mouse, even 101 Dalmatians. What started during the 2020 lockdown to brighten her day has changed his life. The former insurance salesman rediscovered his love for art, now teaches drawing, and is working on a master's in art education. He has saved every single bag and hopes to publish them in a book for his daughter. So talk about a magical lunch break. And some of those are incredibly
He's very good.
detailed.
Yeah. Well, you know, usually you get your lunch out, you eat it, and you throw the bag away. But
Right.
not that case.
You have to make sure nothing leaks or damages
Hopefully
the bag.
The milk doesn't get squeezed.
Yes.
Well, congratulations, Dad. He's got some talent there. Well, folks, for us, hopefully we'll get a little bit of shower activity going tomorrow afternoon, because that's the only way we can get out of these upper 90-degree temperatures. After Thursday, it just gets hot again, and then next week, hopefully we'll continue with that. But I'm optimistic that September is not that far away, and hopefully we'll be breaking out of this ridiculous summer weather soon.
Fingers crossed. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. World News Now is next.